Hey, 888. Hey, guys. Hey, Michelle. I wasn't. I think I might have to. I don't know if I really want to do this right now because that energy healing that I had last night took me out, and I'm feeling hella sleepy. So I've been going live every day since Sunday. So yeah, I think I might have to suck it up and just do it for an hour. I'm waiting for my co-host to come. I'm hoping so too. I wasn't expecting this energy healing that I did to take me out the way that it did, but it definitely it's definitely doing what it's supposed to do. Michelle, can you do me a favor and like click share the live and double tap for me so that my live can be seen by more people and be pushed out onto the For You page? Please and thank you. I would greatly appreciate it. But how are you? Hello. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's just. I thought that this was like I'm waiting on the co-host to come. I don't know if he is coming or not. I shared the live with him so that um he can come on, but I don't know what's going on because we're supposed to go live at 6. Hey guys. Hey Tara, how are you? Thank you for double tapping on the live. Hey Marvin,
Sheila,
how are you? Does it give you video access?
let me see.
Yay! There we go. You would have this access before even having 1,000 followers, because most people have to wait until they have 1,000 followers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know that. I did not. I've never used live ever.
that's why I had to ask you, because I had another creator that I was going to go live with, and when we went live, we realized that we couldn't see her because she didn't have access.
Yeah, right, right.
So you would have access before.
Yeah. LOA.
You would.
LOA.
It's that LOA. Okay, yeah. Everybody, this is. You know what? Just introduce yourself. Just
I mean, my name is Marvin. I am like Sheila. I'm really into this law of attraction, law of assumption stuff, and we've been touching base for months. I follow Sheila on YouTube, also on TikTok, and I really like her content. Everything she says, she touches on stuff that a lot of other content creators, in my opinion, don't touch on. For those that know in this space, the LOA space, in my opinion, has become very dogmatic, especially around Neville Goddard. And the thing that I noticed and liked about Sheila a lot is she touches base and talks about stuff outside of Neville Goddard, and in a sense, other stuff that makes LOA work that other coaches say, "Oh, you don't got to worry about that." So that's really what attracted me to Sheila's content, and that's who I am. I've been doing coaching and working with people in LOA type of stuff since 2020 or so. So yeah.
yeah. I started about the same time. I started about in 2020. Found a certain creator. I'm not gonna say no names.
I think I know who.
I'm not gonna say no names. Um, but I did find a certain creator, and it was because I found that creator, and then I ended up dealing with manifesting a person that I probably shouldn't have tried to manifest. And I applied the same logic. Like, I applied everything that was said, but my circumstances got worse with that person.
Mm,
Point where in which I ended up with a situation that I can't say on here without raising a red flag, and I tried to ignore that and avoid it and affirm over it, but it was because my self concept wasn't what it is today.
right.
I just kept myself in that feedback loop in which I would manifest him back, then I would lose him, manifest him back, and then I would lose him. But it would always end the same way of me bringing up that situation. Be like, I remember what you did, but I'm like, wait, why is it always ending like this? And it wasn't until like 2023 and I was like, yeah, we're not doing this. I'm not doing this. Like, I can't do this no more. This is done. Like, I'm not. And I always felt like there was something missing with the LA community. And so in 2021, I ended up going back. I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. But something's missing. I don't know what's missing, but something's missing because they're not talking about they're not talking about trauma. They're not talking about they're not talking about the things that I feel like we need to, like, people really need to heal, like the people that need to, like, work on. And so I was looking for a school I was looking for a school that offered quantum physics and neuroscience, but I couldn't find it.
Right, right.
Bachelor's degree. I was like, I really want to study this, but I can't find it. And the first school that popped up when you looked for the first school that you popped up when I was looking for it was the school that I ended up graduating from last year.
Nice.
So my degree ended up being a holistic psychology, with a specialization in expressive arts therapy, double minor in cognitive neuroscience and photography. Yeah, you
Awesome.
you could say that I manifested this because up until this point, all the schools that I had gone to before were just not it. Like, I would start it, not finish it, start it, not finish it. I actually finished it. And what I loved about the school was that it gave me the experience. Like, a lot of what I learned was like, oh, experience. Oh, not only is it giving me experience, but I'm using what I'm learning in LOA and I'm writing papers about it while helping myself heal. Like I healed more
Right.
writing papers about myself and LOA and all of the other topics than I did in therapy.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And what I loved about you and finding you is that you touched upon Ho'oponopono. So last year I learned about a little bit of Ho'oponopono in school. So what I did was I applied some of what you said about Ho'oponopono, but I also applied what I was learning in my master's degree in mindfulness and with metta meditation. So I was using Ho'oponopono, the metta meditation, the Heart Sutra, and revision for like a good 90 days. And I ended up writing a paper for it. And I'm using that as my framework for my thesis.
Wow. So that was those four things. I think it was four. What you just said. That was basically your routine for you said like 90 days straight.
Straight.
Damn. And you were pretty diligent with that. Like
I was diligent. I did that every day for 90 days straight.
you didn't miss one day.
Did not miss one day.
I don't think to all the viewers out there that are going to see this, what she just said, you have no idea how hard it is to do what she just did. Literally 99.9% of the people can't do what you just did basically for 90 days straight and whatever it is. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Once I put a plan out there, I'm like, no, we're not. I'm not going to do it. But that framework really did help set the path, and it really did help. And even though I might have gotten some contradictory circumstances along the way, because I did find I ended up having a new SP. I do have a new one, but he's not toxic.
Right.
He's not toxic. Um, but in the process of me having to work on those, doing that, and even though I got the contradictory circumstances with my ex SP trying to start a court case against me and putting an order of protection against me, I was like, wait, how are you doing this, but you're the one that comes back to me? I'm confused. So I got petty because he did it around my graduation time, the time that I graduated. I got petty and I was like, you know what? Yes, I did this work, but what we're not going to do is sit here acting like you didn't do anything. And what we're not going to do is have you not do something to me because you're mad, because you can't take accountability for your actions and what you do and what you do wrong. So we're not doing that. So I filed one against him. We have been in an ongoing battle in court that in this November, I decided I don't want to deal with this because this is petty. So I was like, no, we're not doing this. And I just was like, I told my lawyer, if he drops it, I'll drop it. Just to cut ties and be done with it. And it's just that he didn't like that. I forgot about it. I dropped it. I forgot about it. Did some more Ho'oponopono. Did some more revision.
There you go.
And 2 weeks ago, after I started doing cupping, as I started incorporating cupping and Reiki.
The stuff on your back or whatever? Yeah.
Incorporating that and Reiki and shamanic energy healing into my routine as well.
Somatic is I do that. We do that with people that we work with. Somatic is key.
So I started doing that. I got a phone call from my lawyer randomly, and he was like, "Oh yeah, will you be willing to drop this?" I'm like, "But this is I said this in the, hey Danny, what's up? I said this back in November, and now he wants to, bruh, made my day.
Wow.
Made my day. I was okay, and now it's a smooth tie so that it makes room for what I actually do want, which is my current SP.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, but let me ask you, because that video that you said, I need you to touch on that video.
What video?
The one that I commented on. You need to touch. on that video with the about the accountability and the relationship aspect.
Was this the third party
And I
one?
think about the third party one, that one.
I mean, third. So which I guess my question is what aspect of that video? Because there was
I feel like
my
there's so much of it. Like I feel like there is so much of it in that, but in turn, like, because you have the man hearing this from a man is different than just hearing it from another female creator.
I say that a lot. I say that, and I don't want to sound misogynistic. I do say that a lot. But you can continue. Or that was it.
So that's why I love when I bring and can connect with the man, the male,
Yeah.
and the males that talk about this, because it's different when you're hearing the perspective. Ah, thank you, Danny. It's different from when you hear it from a man, from a guy, than just hearing it from a woman, because now you're hearing from a guy that actually has done the work himself. Like, this is what, like, don't you want to hear what it would take from a guy, if you're manifesting a guy to be in a relationship? Don't you want to hear it from a guy's perspective? Like that's like something that I don't think what most women don't think about.
You know what's funny? I think, and it's funny you saying this now. I'm glad you're saying it because whenever men say stuff like this, we get bashed. Like we get dragged to hell when we say this type of stuff. So I'm glad you're saying it. I tried to touch on it kind of in my videos without trying to get canceled, whatever, but I'm not really afraid to get canceled. But when I talk about it, I try not to be abrasive or aggressive how a lot of male content creators, especially in the dating space, are. I try to approach it from a more LOA perspective because most people, what a lot of these LOA coaches don't realize, they focus so much on technique that they miss out on the whole feminine masculine aspect of what makes a technique work or what makes a relationship work. And this is heterosexual or homosexual or lesbian or whatever. That masculine feminine dynamic is there, and that polarity is there, and that's what makes men attracted to women or women attracted to men. Or if you're a lesbian, it makes you, there's always somebody who's more masculine and somebody who's more feminine in a relationship, whether you're gay, straight, heterosexual, like whatever. It's that masculine feminine dynamic is there. So you're very right when you say what you say, Sheila, because I noticed that a lot of, I guess the big people that have kind of blown up since 2019, 2020, because I did my first interview with this stuff on Agnes's channel, and that's kind of how people started knowing me. Like, oh, he manifested his SP back after not hearing for 5 years from her, or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. And so, from that story, that's how everything started to get pushed, and everybody was like, oh, okay. But I've noticed since 2019, the famous content creators in this genre seem to be women. It seemed to be women dominated, even on TikTok. It seems to be a lot of women giving women advice, and it's needed. It's 1000%. We need that perspective, but we also need, like you said, eloquently, I might add, we need the masculine male perspective because it's different. And I made a video about this a few weeks ago talking about, because I was working with somebody in our mastermind group, and they said to me, they said, "Yo, Marv, how come it always seems like women are getting their SPs and guys aren't?" And I said, that's a damn good question. And so I thought about it, and I said, you know why? I said, you know why I think it is? I said, it's because since the beginning of time, men were inherently doers. We were inherently the people that were taking action, going out, conquering the world, going out, killing the animals. Like, action is innate in us for men to take action. And LOA, it teaches us to basically be passive and not do anything. And instinctively as a man, we're like, nah, this doesn't feel right. I need to be doing something. I need to be texting her. I need to be chasing her. I need to be pursuing her, because innately that's what we've always done. We've always been the hunters. And women throughout history since the beginning of time have always been the hunted, to use these terms, not to sound misogynistic again.
Oh my God.
Go ahead.
But that's I forgot who I said it to. I said it to somebody. Inez. Also, Danny said, "Cancel. You won't get be canceled. Don't let the ego kick you outside of appearance."
Shout out Danny.
Yeah, shout out to Danny.
Appreciate that.
Also, Marvin, you should definitely connect with Danny because he's another really dope male creator that talks about this
Cool.
stuff.
Cool. No doubt. No doubt.
But I had said to somebody, and I was like, why do I feel like it should always be the woman who chooses and that the men should be chasing? Because if I'm not mistaken, way back when, like when there was like, if we ever watched the freaking movie, not movie, it's a TV, the TV show Bridgerton.
Oh yeah, the old school London show or whatever.
Yes,
when they're
that's how it should be. The woman gets courted,
right,
options to choose from, and she gets to choose. That's how it should be. I don't know where we got lost in the sauce these days, where it seems like, Marvin, I know you're not going to take offense to this, where it seems like men want to be the ones that are, most men these days want to be the one that is
absolutely.
And it's like, no. It's supposed to be the other way around. Like, did y'all lose some of y'all lose the men gene? Like, I'm confused here. And then don't get me started on the fact that I live in New York, okay? I live in New York. So because I live in New York and I'm from New York, all I know is that hustle mentality, which is great. It's gotten me pretty far. And like you, I'm used, but it also puts me in that masculine energy to do all the time. And so for the first time in my life, I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I'm not used to being and not doing and letting people come to me versus me going to them, or me having to just let them, like, even money. Like, I'm like, this feels strange and uncomfortable, but like in a good way. But it all ties, that energy ties into literally everything. So if like one area of your life is a little out of whack, odds are all areas of your life is a little out of whack. And most women, some women don't want, I've seen in my experience, some of them don't want to take accountability.
Yeah.
And they struggle with that accountability part. But then I also see men that really struggle with that too.
No, yeah, it goes both ways. It's I think to your point earlier, men and women kind of switch places. They flip. Yana Van Zant. Have you ever heard of her, Yana Van Zant? She's pretty big. She's a black woman, older. She's probably in her 60s. I want to say. I don't know. I could be wrong because get that wrong, and they get upset at you and you guess their age wrong. But she says nowadays women are men in skirts. That's one of her quotes a lot of times. And
it's not all men, okay?
No.
Be right. It's not all men.
Right. But I think you're right to your earlier point. It's men have become more submissive for sure. And women also have become more masculine for sure. And for thousands of years we weren't wired that way. We weren't wired that way. But the further I tell people this all the time, the further we get away from hunter gatherer mentality, the further we get away from the masculine feminine dynamic in a way. And that's what's happened in my opinion, is that women feel like they don't need to rely on men the way that they used to because of technology. I don't need a man because I can just call anybody to fix this. I don't need a man to live with me or to stay with me or to go kill my food, hunt my food, yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Guys are thinking to themselves, I don't need to pursue anymore. Look at all these options I got. I'm the man, I'm the prize. And they talk that way a lot of times, but even when they're not, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like I was saying, this person asked me in the group, how come women always tend to get their SP? And I really do believe, or it seems like women always get their SP, manifest them back or whatever. Even if they don't keep them, it always seems like women have a better success rate. And I said this, but I personally think it's because it's a woman's and again, this a lot of content creators will touch on this stuff that we're talking about. They just technique, just living it in, just live, but it's a lot more intricate than that. Women, I think it works so well for women because being passive and waiting is in a sense a woman's natural nature. It's in a woman's natural nature to be like, oh, I'm just gonna let him come to me. He should come to me. I'm the prize because it's been that way. Like, no disrespect, but in my opinion, I think y'all are wired that way, and I think that's okay. Y'all are supposed to be. That's the feminine energy. I don't think women understand. If women can have any man eating out the palm of her hand. Most men, if she understood and accepted that feminine energy, her feminine essence, but femininity in women is demonized nowadays, even by women. Even women, they'll shit on. I've seen videos from like dating videos and stuff where women shit on other women. They're like, "Oh, you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Get the fuck out of here. You want to be a stay-at-home mom? Nah, you need to be a boss babe. You need to." But instinctively, innately, a lot of women they do want to be passive. They if they find the right guy, they do want to submit. They do want to be. I'm not gonna say they want to be a stay-at-home mom, but they like the idea of, oh shit, I want to stay home and just keep after the house because that's a full-time job. Looking after a house is a full-time job. Taking care of kids, that's a full-time job. So you expecting a woman to look after her house, take care of the kids, and work? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Which is why it was never like that for majority of time until like the last 60 years or 70 years when all the laws changed back in the 60s and stuff and 70s and all of these government programs were put into place and all of that type of stuff. But
But that's true. Like we don't like we never had um that we didn't have to deal with this. Like way back when, like this was not a thing way back when. So it's like, okay, well now it's like I would I wouldn't mind being a stay at home. I wouldn't mind being a stay at home mom. I wouldn't mind having a soft life.
right.
Like I wouldn't mind. Like who doesn't want a soft life?
Right. Even men, even like men, even men want a soft light, but it's innate in us to not do that. It's innate in us to conquer and to build and to, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? That desire is not necessarily because again, and I'll talk about this in my video that I put. It's different because women, y'all have estrogen, we have testosterone. Testosterone is what makes you want to do shit. It's what makes you want to it's why men are aggressive. You know, when we get around each other, or we hit each other, and we like rough each other up and all that stuff. It's testosterone. That's what makes us want to conquer. It's what makes us horny all the time. You know, women don't understand it. Like, why are men always horny? It's testosterone. You know, I give an example in my video of a woman. She had some sort of she got some sort of she got testosterone injected in her because she had some sort of like issue and her hormones were off or whatever. So they gave her a shot for whatever her condition was. And it was only a fraction of what men have in their testosterone. And she said she totally understands why men feel the way they feel now. Because she said when she got that testosterone shot, she said that she got so horny. She said she was looking at guys' bulges. She said sex was on her mind constantly. No lie, Sheila. I promise you, no lie. She was, and that it was only a fraction of testosterone what men have. So again, this goes back to the whole passive and not being passive thing. It's more in a man's nature to want to be aggressive, to dominate, to conquer, to do these things, and it's more so. Not saying that women can't do these things because they absolutely can because they've been doing it for a long ass time, but it's more so in a woman's nature to, and I think that's why manifestation. I always say this: manifestation comes easier to women because it's your natural state. It's your natural state to be passive and to just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just let this come to me. I'm gonna let men. We don't think that way because innately in us, it's hard for us to sit still and think we're gonna accomplish while sitting still. We don't think that way. And so when we hear coaches say, oh, all you gotta do is just do affirmations or live in the end, in our mind, we're like, nah. We're like, nah, that's not true. We gotta do some shit. We can't just sit still. And I think that cognitive dissonance is why a lot of men struggle with manifesting, and it always seems like women are so successful with getting their SP because again, manifest. I tell people all the time, manifesting is 80-20 rule, 20% action, 80% waiting, and that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it a lot of times. Is if manifestation is really you're gonna do way more waiting than you are taking action wise, you know, and so it's hard for a lot of people to hear that and understand that. But
No, but you're not wrong. I think it really is a little like it's not contradictory. No, I think it is a little something that you have to get used to with hearing. Like even with the new SP that I'm manifesting, like there were a lot of habits that I realized that I had that I'm like, oh wait, I can't do this with this one. Wait a minute, that's not a habit. That hold on. It's like when you realize like that old SP that I was manifesting, I didn't catch these habits until I started manifesting the new one, and I was like, what up? Wait, I
right,
can't do that. I can't do the same thing. I can't constantly reach out. I can't constantly be the one reaching out. I can't be doing this. I can't be doing that. Like that. No, that's not healthy. I shouldn't be doing that. I can't get mad. Like I have to like really catch myself. It's that that automatic, the automatic sensations of like, oh, these are things that I used to do. The new version of me that has this SP wouldn't be doing that. Because
right,
if I'm in a healthy relationship, I wouldn't be worried about if he's following me or not, or if he unfollowed me, or if he did this, or if he did that, or whatever. I would just be knowing that okay, yeah, he's mine, and this is a healthy relationship, and everything is like everything is amazing. I have nothing to worry about with him when it comes to like other females or whatever. And granted, yeah, I'm a model. I'm a model. I'm a photographer. I'm I'm either around men or I'm around women. So it's like I see a lot of different things. And on the one hand, like in my mind, because of the stuff that I know and the stuff that I've been through, sometimes it's not um some of the stuff that like yes I hear, oh Sheila, you're really pretty. Like why like you're really pretty. Like I hear that on an everyday basis. But there's like little things, like little beliefs that I was like, why do I have this? And it didn't. It took that awareness. It took that mindset shift to be like, no, like this is not conducive towards my future. Like this has to like no, it's that decision. Like I gotta stop. Like you have to hold yourself accountable. That's why a big portion of my discipline comes from being able to once I say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it for a longer period of time because it's easy to just do things for like a week or 14 days or whatever. And yeah, that's easy. But doing something for longer than that,
yeah,
that's it's like working out. You're going to the gym, you're working out. Like this is like you're working your mind. Like that's something that you have to do on a regular basis. Like otherwise your monkey mind is just gonna take over.
it's true. Yeah, 90 days is OD.
Like
You,
it's easy. It wasn't easy. To the no. But all of these tools, help me to be the version of myself that I am today.
exactly.
And if I didn't go through all of those experiences, because while I was doing this 90 days, I went 6 months without social media.
Oh wow,
So
that's discipline.
I,
That's
I was focused.
yeah. No, that's what you're talking about. Like I said earlier, 99% of people can't do this. That's discipline for sure.
Like, was it easy? No. Yeah, but I needed to do that so that I could focus and regroup and learn more about myself and what I wanted and who I am. And it made me appreciate being it made me appreciate things and the beauty of life in a way where I'm like, no, I am never letting somebody come in my life and take that from me ever again.
Mm, beautiful.
Like, period. So, knowing that, my question to you is, what made you start? What made you start giving the perspective shifts of what you do, like the and at that the real perspective truth, like not the sugarcoating, like the way, like what made you start speaking on these things?
Well, I'd say when I saw it might have been, I don't know if it was, I feel like I want to give myself credit and say I've been doing it since I started, but it might have been over the last 2 years or so when I just kept seeing videos pop up and I just kept seeing these titles and I kept just seeing different content creators. And I started when I would work with people, they would always tell me, "Hey, I work with such and such. Yeah, I work with such and such." And I realized that people, we pay attention to the shiny object. We pay attention to, oh, this person has this many followers. This person has that many followers. I'm gonna listen to this person. I'm gonna work with this person, not realizing that could be a trap. And when I started hearing all these people's stories about who they're working with and them not getting any results, and one person in particular, we're not gonna say no names, but I heard so many people. I heard that people were getting sick, literally physically sick, and going to the hospital, being put on antidepressants, being put in going to a mental hospital. Seriously, they were.
No,
And
I'm laughing at Danny's content and comment.
oh, what's up with Danny? What's Danny talking about?
He said trap like subconscious.
Oh, you just put out a video about subconscious lives. Um, I've heard every time somebody brings her up, I just hear crazy stuff about her. But this, I'm not gonna do this in your live, Sheila. So, but yeah, whatever.
Like
I got sidetracked.
like no, because it's fine. Because what creator have we not, like? There's not one person that I've not heard crazy. Like there are very few, and the very few creators that I can say at the top, like I can literally still maybe I can count you on my hands and my toes. How many of y'all are actually like the real ones?
Yeah,
Like you, Danny, Yima, like there's very few of y'all. Like, and I'm friends with all, like I'm cool with all of y'all. But that's because the real attracts the real.
right.
And while there are some that might throw in a shout out to the ones that, there are very few that do shout out the ones that I don't want to say their names. They, I could still rock with them without being, I can still rock with them without holding that against them. And I say that in a way, of course you are. I say that in a way where, because of the experiences that I've had and the books that I've read, the
Right.
like example, the On Dialogue book that I read, I took a mindful communication class. So I know how to communicate with you without, um I know how to communicate with people who might not see the vision, who might not agree with me, in a way where it gets them thinking, that it opens up their perspective. Because at the end of the day, those particular coaches, one, they forgive them for they don't know better. One,
Right.
two, their assumptions, I can't fault them because their assumptions are also based on society. It's based on society. It's based on their perception. It's based on all of this stuff. And even the people who are die hard, like I'm for this creator, they don't see that. Wait, maybe I need to take a step back from this and see why. Like see this from a different angle. Like how is this helping me? Is this serving me? But because they're so ingrained in it and they're not as mindful as they should, that as they should be, it gets overlooked. And yeah.
They're just dogmatic. A lot of these content creators, particularly from the Neville community, not all of them, but a lot of content creators, they are dogmatic in their approach. And the people that, and I said this in my recent video, I said this in multiple videos, but the content creator you run into first in this stuff could be life or death for you, especially when it comes to manifesting an SP, because if you get the wrong content creator, you might be screwed because you might go down that path of just affirming 24/7. And like I said, end up in a mental hospital, end up on antidepressants, because I've heard stories like this of people affirming all day, every day, because they're being, that's the hot thing, right? Affirming, and they're told that, oh, I'm gonna get what I want if I affirm all day, every day, just affirm, and then they literally get physical symptoms. They get sick, go to the hospital. You know, all of these crazy things that I'm hearing from people working with other people, and you know, that's what made me kind of take this approach and realize, and even in my own, even in my own life, realizing that LOA isn't working the way these coaches make you think it works. Now, it can work that way, you know, but I don't think people understand the process that they have to go to get through that point. You know, to get to that point of where instant manifestation, you can do that all the time. You know what I mean? Because, and I tell people a lot of times too, this stuff, like most of us, we're not going to master this stuff. It's every day we're getting better at it. Every day we're getting better and better and better and better. But most people, in my opinion, they're just not gonna, because our self concept and our life experiences are just too messed up for us not to go back and to tell the old story all the time. You know what I mean? Especially if you've gone through something traumatic. You know, like I've watched your videos before. You talk about your situation. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go through stuff like that, it's no wonder people can't visualize, because when people close their eyes to try to visualize, all they are seeing is the original sin. All they are seeing is that time that they went through something very traumatic with their person, or that they went through something traumatic with their family member or whatever. Like you can't visualize it. Every time you close your eyes, you see that event happening again. And so that's why I always tell people a lot of times the technique they need to be doing is revision. Is because you gotta before you can really move forward and start to kind of decree things, as Neville would say, or speak things into existence. You gotta stop talking about the past and thinking about the past, because Neville said that in his book, that's the cause of all evil. You know, the fact that you keep thinking about the past, reminiscing about the past, you can't get past that. Not doing revision is the cause of all evil, basically. And so, yeah, when I saw a lot of content creators making those types of videos and telling people, and then I started working with people in their experiences, and they were telling me their stories, I was like, no, I gotta call this out. And I think one video that really helped me, because I was on the fence, but one video that helped me was your video. I saw your video you made.
Thank you.
And when you call somebody out, and I was like, oh, I never seen nobody go for smoke like that towards a content creator. And then I watched your video. I said, because you were commenting on my videos, and I was like, who is this? And so then I checked, and I was like, oh, she got a account. Let's see what's up. And then I saw then one of your videos popped up, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. And then I watched it, and then it was just bullets, baka, bullets. And I was like, yo,
okay, I couldn't help it.
But everything you said in there was truth, though. Like, it's truth. And that's where a lot of these coaches mess up, is because they give one size fits all advice to people who are going through who are at different levels of consciousness in their life. So you can't, and you basically kind of said that in your videos and in your way. And that's why so many people struggle with manifestation, because they think, oh, all I gotta do is this. No, that's not all you have to do. You might have to go to therapy first before you actually get good at manifesting. You might have to, you know what I mean? You might have to deal with those demons or whatever before you actually start just doing techniques, because everybody wants what they want quickly. And, you know, it's, for most of us, it's not going to happen quickly. And for most of us, we're not going to be able to just call things into existence whenever we want to call it into existence. You know, once we get nice and deal with the past and all that type of stuff, yes, it will be more prevalent. You'll start to notice, oh shit, it's happening more and more and more. Oh, I can control myself. I can control my reality more and more and more. But in the beginning, these clickbait titles and thinking you're going to get something in 3 days or a week or whatever, it's, for most people, it's not saying that it can't happen, because it can. But from me working with people all these years, so many people struggle with Neville's work, and it's just honestly not talked about in this community because it's just blasphemy to curse Neville or anything like that. So yeah,
Like, and I'm not saying sitting here being like, okay, yeah, it's not like Neville's not like
he's not lying.
he's not lying.
And the content creators aren't lying. They're right in what they're saying, but where they're not being honest is they're not telling you, yo, it might not work for you as fast as you wanted to, or it probably isn't. That's where the dissonance comes in. But yeah,
And it's like, even if, like, example, and that's why, like, even with my content creation and my process, like, I realize I'm a very lazy manifester. I'm very much a lazy manifester in the sense of I prefer to listen to my affirmation tapes than I listen to subliminals over anything else. So
right.
I'm very, very much a lazy manifester. But I'm also a loud manifester. And what I mean by this is that all throughout school, I kept on telling everybody, oh, whenever I would meet people, like new people or whatever, and especially when I was on here on TikTok, and this is how I built my platform, I would be like, yeah, I'm in school to study this, 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 and this, and this, and I will get my master's degree in mindfulness, and I'm gonna get my PhD in neuroscience, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I spoke it into existence. And it's
Right.
time I met somebody on the street, and they asked me what I did. I said I'm a model. I said I'm this. I said I'm that, and I'm in school to study this, 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 and this. They would commend me. I enrolled somebody else in my vision, and they clapped for me. They're like, "That sounds interesting. Great. I want to see you win." Little did I know, because I'm never gonna see them I'm never gonna see them again. But
Right.
because
Right.
I enrolled them in my vision, they just helped manifest me graduating without realizing it. And that's what I mean by that's what essentially speaking something into existence is. You are enrolling somebody else into your vision for what you want, but for also how you see the world. And I think the biggest part is that for me, I'm very much an omnist, where I see the truth in everything, and I like to take bits and pieces of little things, and
I like that.
I like to make my own way of doing it. So like it's like my basis is like definitely Christian. Not like it's definitely Christian.
Yeah.
But I don't go to church. But I will dabble in a little bit of like magic here and there, whatever. But I do like some Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange and like Law of Assumption, but like holistic psychology and the mindfulness and the like there's like all of these things.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. But like the biggest part for me is that hey Rhonda, I hope you're feeling better. The biggest part for me is that because all of these things are connected, we don't realize that even what you saying about the going to therapy or whatever, there's more than one way to go to therapy. It's
Right.
not just talk therapy, but most people when you say, "Hey, maybe I need to go to therapy," we don't realize that they don't know that there's more than one way to therapy. They just think it's just, oh, I gotta go to talk therapy and I gotta talk out my problems and blah blah blah, this, that, and third. No, there's so many other ways of therapy and so many other ways of healing modalities. Like Wanda, that it just came in here, she's my Reiki master. She does my Reiki. I just started incorporating that. I just started incorporating that. I just started incorporating cupping therapy. Like, there's so much stuff. There's play therapy, sand therapy, there's dance therapy, art therapy, like photo therapy. That's a thing. I didn't know that these were a thing until um I didn't know these were a thing until I went to school. And
Exactly.
and the irony about it is that um, we did have conversations about LOA in school. Okay, we had these types of conversations. We brought it up. Hey, Dr. Pink. So the fact that we talked about it in class, and even the professor would be like, I would ask the professor, like, what's your take? Like, one of my professors I asked him, I said, what's your take on um, this whole being delusional trend? He's like, you're not delusional. You're mystical. Because how can you be delusional when you're actually a mystical being experiencing so? But we lose touch with that aspect of ourselves because we are taught to be in the physical and do in the physical as opposed to being like we're a human being, not like we're a human being, like emphasis
Right.
on the being part. We're like, well, I don't get the one thing that baffles me is like, why are we the only species on this planet that doesn't the only species on this planet that doesn't comprehend the fact that if the birds, the birds, all the animals are already taken care of. They already have shelter. They already have their place, and they don't worry about money. They don't have these worries. Why are we the only species that worry?
Exactly.
Like I can't fathom that. Yeah, I can talk about this stuff all day.
Nah, yeah, I agree. I've said that. I've said that to people that I've talked to. Said that in videos as well. And we can learn a lot from nature if we pay attention to it. Birds, the whoever, deer. We are the only species that gets caught up in worldly stuff or whatever the case may be, and it's I get it, but at the same time, when you to me when you know about LOA or if you have a faith or something like that, you shouldn't be consumed by a lot of that stuff. It's good to know about it just to be aware because some I mean two I tell people this all the time. Yes, be delusional. Yes, we are in a simulation, as creators say, but at the same time, we can be aware of what's going on. But but tell us we tell ourselves, I'm aware of what's going on, but I know I'm taken care of. It's not going to affect me. And you can kind of speak that over your life and say, yeah, the world's crazy right now, but I know I'm taken care of. And that can kind of be your affirmation, something like that. You know what I mean? But I don't want people to think that being delusional means you have to be oblivious in a sense to what's actually going on in the world, because sometimes I tell people this all the time. Anything good sometimes can backfire on you. There isn't just one side or this side. Like, no, there's duality in everything. So being delusional can work to your disadvantage at times. Just like I'm trying to think of an example of, I don't know. Somebody posted, somebody made a comment in one of my videos and she said something along the lines of, no, yeah. She said she had a friend who wanted her boyfriend back. And her friend was like, no, I'm not. First of all, her friend, this woman, whoever she was, her friend did the guy dirty, disrespected him, cheated on him, did all of this crazy stuff to him, right? Did all of this crazy stuff to him. And her friend was in the process of doing all these affirmations to try to bring him back, or doing LOA to try to bring him back after, I guess he left or broke up with her once after all of that type of stuff was happening. And she was like, no, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z because that's not LOA. And I want him to beg for me back, even though I did all of that stuff to him. And she kind of took that approach. And I just thought to myself, now that she still might get what she wants for sure. But to me, that type of stuff, it tiptoes on the line of being too delusional in a sense. So, and I'm not saying, again, she could very well get what she wants for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that can't happen. Like, she could absolutely do LOA or whatever she wants to do, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, this guy comes back, even though she disrespected him, cheated on him, did all these horrible things to
I
him.
think there's a toxic way to do LOA, and then there's a healthy way to do LOA.
100%. But the way she came off was, I'm not taking action, because I think I made a video talking about taking action sometimes, because sometimes we need to take action. Sometimes, in my opinion, we're too passive and we think, oh, I'm just going to wait around and not do shit. when it can work like that. But this stuff is so nuanced, in my opinion. Like we don't know, like sitting around sometimes again could be to your detriment. You don't realize it. You know what I mean? But again, not all the time. And so she was of the mindset, oh, I'm not going to reach out and apologize to him because that's not LOA. That's not LOA. He needs to beg. He needs to beg for me back, even though I cheated on him, even though I did this. He needs to beg for me back. And I'm sitting there just reading. I'm reading her comment, tell me this, and I'm just like, wow, But I mean, that's just how some people are, and God bless them. I mean, maybe she will win. Who knows? Because like I'm not denying that she can't. Because we've all seen crazy things. We've all, you know what I mean? So
I've seen some crazy things. Okay, I've seen some. I've seen a lot of crazy things. I've seen it all. Okay, I had like my ex SP when I was manifesting him. I had him blocked on everything. He still found a way to contact me.
right, right,
I have him blocked on everything. So no,
right,
there's not one thing that I have not seen happen in my honest opinion. And I've heard it all. I've seen it all, and it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, like it's possible, but there's only one person to change, which is you, because you are experiencing you. And if you are experiencing you, then at some point you have to change. Like you can't keep going around expecting. I told this to some. I think there was somebody who came on my live the other day, and I said to them, I said they asked me about. They said their SP. They were in no contact with their SP, but they're living in the end. I said, no, you're not. They're like, I'm like, no, you're not living in the end if you're still acknowledging being in no contact. No, you talk every day. Simple. Like you talk every day. Like he's always calling you, he's always texting you. That's the story, and then you need to stick to it because being in the comment section talking about you're in no contact, but you say you're living in the end. That contradicts each other because so therefore you're not really living in the end if you're still acknowledging the fact that you're in no contact. It's like saying a new story, like you're saying the old story expecting a different result, and that's the definition of insanity.
right.
You're doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result, and it's like that's what saying the old story is. Saying the old story over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's not how it works. You have to nip the old story in the butt where
Which is
it's
hard.
and speak the new story into existence. I don't care. And I literally told her, I said, I don't care if you have to go up to a complete stranger on the street and say the old story. Like the new story. Do something that'll help you ingrain the new story in your head so that it's believable. Because at the end of the day, a complete stranger doesn't know whether a complete stranger is not going to know whether you're telling the truth or a lie.
It's true.
But if you apply that to if you put that in terms of the neuroscience and your subconscious doesn't know if it's whether you're telling the truth or a lie. The same way a stranger doesn't know whether or not you're telling the truth or a lie. So if you apply the same logic and treat your subconscious as a complete stranger, don't you think that you're going to get what you want if you treat your subconscious as a complete stranger and do the same thing?
That's true. No, you're right. But I always tell people it's easier said than done. I'm sure you talking to people and working with people know the same thing. It's a lot of people not telling the old story is hard for a lot of people, especially the worse the trauma is, in my opinion, the harder it is to not tell that whole story because you kind of get wrapped. That becomes your identity in a sense.
Yeah.
And so when that becomes your identity, that's when it becomes scary. And you got to say to yourself, all right, this is not who I am. This is just something that happened to me during my life. You know what I mean? Same thing with entertainers or whoever. They get so consumed in their career athletes, they get so consumed with athletes. It's who I am. It's who I am. So when they retired, they go through depression because they feel like they lose their identity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they feel like they lose their identity because they're not doing their sport anymore. Not realizing that's not who you are. It's just what you did. You're so much bigger than being an athlete or entertainer or musician or an LOA coach. You're everything. You're all things and nothing at the same time. You know what I mean? So we just got to remember that type of stuff. And again, it's hard to not retell the old story and to just tell the new story without thinking or reminiscing about the old story. And I just think most people lack consistency
And discipline.
and discipline, right? And that comes from, like you started the video by saying, accountability. Most people don't hold themselves accountable to. And I always tell people, I always say, what, who's the person you see yourself being 5 years from now? You need to be that motherfucker right now. You need to be that person right now. Whoever you see yourself being 5, 10, 20 years from now, you need to think and make decisions like that person right now. And again, easier said than done. It's gonna be hard for most because this 3D is so real. And this 3D is real. One day you're not gonna be in that body. One day I'm not gonna be in this body. One day we're gonna transfer to whatever else we transfer into. You know what I mean? Whatever else is next for us after that. You know what I mean? But so again, this goes back to my point earlier when I was like, yeah, we live in a simulation. Yeah, be delusional, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna go jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. You know what I'm saying? Like that's being too delusional. You know what I mean? Like
Way too delusional.
yeah, like
Way too delusional. Like I think that's like the interesting part of it is that I had spoke to somebody the other day and I said, um, everything, and I mean everything, literally started in the mind. That's what helps me to understand the creation or the creation and the destruction and the power of the tongue is the concept of everything started in the mind. Down our phones started in the mind. The light started light light did not start in the mind, but it started with the power of the tongue.
oh yeah, let there be light.
Let there be light. So there was light. Then now fast forward till now. Now everything else started with the mind. It wasn't. It's our imagination that's what's really creating. And the person they kept on trying to fight. Like they were trying to fight what I was saying. And it's like, but everything, the thermostat, paper, the everything, and all it really is literally all you really think about it. It's just putting the material together. It's putting the material of the earth together, and it's then making the object. But as you're making the object, as you're making the object, you have a physical object. But even though you have the physical object, if you really take it a step further, if you say you get tired of that physical object, right? You're gonna put it in the garbage. Where is it going? It's then going somewhere to get what? Destroyed. So it becomes this thing where once you understand the cycle, because everything has a cycle,
Right.
once you understand the cycle part of it, then you can really break it down. Like you start to see the impermanence of things. And once you see the impermanence of things, then you start to understand that the impermanence of circumstances is that okay, this is temporary. It's not going to be like this forever. And since it's not going to be like this forever, it helps you to kind of just breathe and woosah because it's not going to be like this forever. And you can detach from the circumstances. You can detach from the suffering part of it because you're suffering because you don't have it. But then you just breathe through it and understand that part, the impermanence, you will essentially get what you want. And that's why I created that framework with the Ho'oponopono and the Heart Sutra, and the Heart Sutra is literally it's pretty much in essence saying that we are nothing and everything at the same time. That's literally what it says. It's saying no this, no that, like no eyes, no hands, no money. Like I take it a step further and say no this, no that, no like, and don't pay attention to what you don't want. However, yes, don't pay attention to what you don't want. However, I like to say you can use that to your advantage. Okay? You can really get really annoyed. Like, say you do have such an attachment to something. If you have a strong attachment to, let's say you have an attachment towards your SP or a situation, or you have resistance to, like example, I'm in the process of wanting to move. If you start saying that, I don't know why, I don't want to move to this place, or if I start saying, well, I don't want to move to this place, I don't like this place, like, why would I want to move there? Like, it's too hot there. It's so annoying. Like, why would I want to move there? It's gonna tell my brain like, what? And it's gonna drop the importance, and it's gonna make it happen quicker because it's like, wait, I don't wait, huh? But she just said she doesn't. She does want this, and that's saying she don't want this. So it's gonna like, instead of you saying, oh, I don't want, like saying what you don't want. I do want this thing, but I'm using reverse engineering and being like, yeah, I don't want to move here, but I actually do, but I'm tricking my brain. That works. And I'm complaining about it in a way where I'm like, I'm tricking it.
Right.
Because it doesn't know the difference between what a truth or a lie. But this is like something that I feel like this is the kind of concept and like the tools that somebody that's at the beginner level might not be able to do.
I agree.
There's a foundation. You got to build your foundation. It's like you cannot build a skyscraper with a porta potty foundation. You can't.
Facts.
Like, that's not realistic. That part's not realistic because then it's gonna be shaky and it's gonna crumble.
Well, that's why I said earlier, delusional. You can be delusional to a certain extent. There's nothing when you're at a level, I would say, like where you're at. There's nothing wrong with being delusional, but when the thing is a lot of people, it's hard, and I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's hard for most people, in my opinion, from studying this stuff for the last 10 plus years and working with people since 2019, 2020. It's hard for most people to come in and, like you said, have no foundation and just start affirming, and then stuff just show up out of, like, all the time, or just visualize once and then stuff just show up all the time. Some people can do it, but from what I've seen is it's very hard for most to do. And I'm not saying that to discourage you. If you want to take that route and you think, oh, I have no foundation, I'm going to still manifest whatever I want. Hey, go for it. Go for it. See how it works for you. I'm not, like Neville says, test it. Go ahead, test it. Like, see if you can do that without having to lay that solid foundation. And if you can, I'll take my hat off to you. You know, I'm not going to judge you or be like, oh, I'm not. No, I'm going to be like, hey, it worked for you. But there's other people that are watching this. They got to realize, you, like Sheila just said, you need to build that foundation. Everything has foundation. Houses, buildings, you know what I mean? Nature, and like we that foundation is an important part. And I think that's what makes so much of the sensationalism around law of assumption so popular, is because it tells you don't need a foundation. It tells you don't need to heal or do trauma or do shadow work or whatever the case. You don't need to do any of that. All you need to do is affirm and visualize that you're going to be able to get whatever you want in 3 days. And that's very attractive to people. They want to hear that, you know, and that's why those guys, that's why they get all of the followers. You know, that's why they get all of the clicks. They get up, like guys like me, you grow slow because you're telling people the truth. You know what I'm saying? You grow slow words typically, which I mean, you could sit here and say that's a belief, but I mean, the people that are selling you bullshit, they grow fast. You know what I'm saying? Like they typically do grow fast.
No,
And
you're not saying anything that's not. I literally just said this to somebody literally yesterday, like word for word. Like that's the people that are clickbaity, they get all the followers, while the people that actually speak on the truth are underrated. And those are the people, like, and it's like I watched this documentary in my first semester of going back to school in my holistic psychology class. I watched this documentary about false prophets or something like that. Fake guru. I think it was about fake gurus. And I was like, huh? The guy literally pretended to be like a fake guru. And people would pay him, and maybe he did all these like retreats or whatever. And then at the end of the thing, he revealed that he wasn't who he said he was. Some people were disappointed. And he was like, yeah, do not idolize me though. And I don't want to be like, yeah, I want to be iconic. Yeah, I want to be a trendsetter and everything, but don't idolize me
right,
because I'm going to make my mistakes just as much as the next person is going to make their mistakes because I'm not perfect because perfect doesn't really exist because perfect is a subjective experience. What's perfect to me is not going to be perfect for you, and what's perfect for you is not going to be perfect for me. We all
very
have
true.
our own subjective experiences, and even with the duality of the duality of it. At one point, I remember one day in my I took an intro to consciousness studies class, and we were learning about duality, non-duality, and duality. And he had us. It was a small class. It was like a class of like 6 students, and he had us ask if you believe in non-duality or duality. And I kid you not, in all honesty, I raised my hand for the non-duality part. But now I see that you need both sides of the spectrum, and I think you need both because you need to see what you really don't want. You need to see that. You need to see both sides, but you also need to see um the essence of what you need both because it's like on you know how on a battery you have the negative and the positive.
Right.
It's that duality, the negative and the positive on a battery. You need
That's a
both,
great point. That's
and
a good point.
it's not the even in the negative can transform the into the positive. Meaning, when you take it to the next level of when you take when you bring in cell and molecular biology, you understand thermodynamics, right? And you understand how the universe was created with the Big Bang and all of that, and whatever. It needed the entropy. Entropy is when something it breaks breaks down because of the heat, and it creates
Okay.
disorder and chaos.
Wow.
So if you think of your 3D as entropy breaking itself down, and if at one point, if you see in your 3D all of your experiences are getting so out of whack to the point where you're like, why am I getting the opposite of what I want? That's entropy. That's your old reality breaking itself down. It's breaking itself down to the point of which you're. It's going to break itself down to the point in which it has no choice to bring into the new. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Interesting.
Um, it's gonna bring in the new because that's
Right.
how the universe was created,
Like you got it. Like basically what you're saying is you got to destroy it so that the new can make way.
basically. And that's why and that's why now I see that you do need both.
Yeah, because as they say, there's no light without dark. There's no good without evil. You know what good is because of evil, right? And like you said earlier, it's subjective. What's evil to me may not be evil to that person over there. You know, what we think is evil in America, in the Middle East, they don't think that shit's evil. You know what I'm saying? They think killing is glorified over there in certain places. Just like over here, we look at that as nah, that's not cool. But they're like, nah, we praise that shit. We're gonna be in paradise for Allah. You know what I mean?
And what meaning are you giving the? And also, what meaning are you giving it? Like everything is neutral until you actually give it a meaning. So it's not new. It's not nothing is either bad nor good. Everything is neutral until you assign it a meaning. So if that's the
Exactly.
case, then you gotta think about it like that. And like I was saying earlier, everything is connected. So you take the concept of thermodynamics and you take a little bit of that science, you take a little bit of the law of assumption, you take a little bit of this concept, and when you start to like literally break down and do your, this is why I see it preach so to so many people. Please do your research because when you start to read, and start to do your own research, and you start seeing how everything is all interconnected and everything, yeah, I might be in school to be get my PhD in neuroscience and consciousness or whatever. But if you start to really study this stuff and you start to be like, hey, this sounds like this. This sounds like this. This is like it's all connected. And then you really start. There's a book that I have somewhere. It's called All the Time in the World. In that book, it talks about revision.
Oh yeah.
So Neville Goddard is not the only person who talked about revision.
Right.
Like she literally has a whole. There's the author who literally has a whole point, a whole section about changing the past.
What's the book?
All the time in the world. I had to read it for. I had to read that book for one of my. I didn't read the book. I read like a chapter, but I read it and I read the chapter and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like it's really interesting. But she had a near death experience when she was a child. She had a near death experience when she was a child, and she ended up writing. She came back and she was not the same person, and she ended up writing a book, and she teaches you how to collapse time. Time is in essence, it's not real.
Right.
So if you know how to operate with time, like even the book that I read by a neuroscientist, "The Brain is a Time Machine." Even in that book, it talks about free will from a neuroscientist.
So what did
So,
that say? If you don't mind me asking, what did that say about free will, and what are your takes on free will?
so that in that essence
Because
is
this is
my
controversial.
book. It made me because I read that one. I read the Your Brain is a Time Machine, but I also read another book called Free. It was actually called Free Will, and I read that, and I was like, huh. It had me thinking because it pointed out this perspective of where do you actually do you actually think about, like, do you actually make your choices, like where are your choices coming from, where are your thoughts coming from, and where are these things coming from, are you actually the one choosing, but or is something else out there choosing for you? Because let's face it, none of like when did we all just decide that we were just gonna all be born? Like, did we like, huh? I didn't what? So it raises this question of like, okay, well, do I really have free will? Like, am I really like it makes you start to think and start to question. But this is why, like, don't just listen to me and Marvin. Do your own research and use critical thinking skills and like piece it together for yourself. What is it? What how is this helping you? Like, is this helping you? Like, I don't care if you have to write a paper, but try to piece it for yourself and make your own conclusions, draw your own conclusions. Yes, these are complicated. This is controversial topic. Yes, this is complicated to some degree. But if there are people that are Barbie, if there are people who are writing papers if there are people, if there are scholarly articles, if there are books, if there are books from people writing like that are researching this stuff, then I'm sorry, not sorry. Please understand that this is not made up because it came from somewhere.
Right.
And
Yes.
even with the whole free will thing, I have the free will to choose what I want, but just because I have the power to choose what I want, it does not mean that my yes, telepathy is real. Yes, you can manifest your SP, but please don't forget that your SP is also its own person, their own person too, and you need to give them their space to show up as a version of themselves at this point, because they are their own person in their own conscious reality too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's hard for people to hear.
Like,
Some people don't want to hear that, Sheila. That's hard for people to hear because they feel like they're not going to get their SP.
and that's not true. They'll get them back,
Right.
but you can't just think that you can just control them like a puppet. You have to give them that space to show up. They need
You
that space.
you know what? You know what experiment I always tell people? I always give them the Drake experiment. I always tell people, I say, yo, if there's a million women who want Drake, who's going to manifest them? If free will doesn't exist, then Drake gets to be in a relationship with all 1 million of those women. And we all know that is impossible. That is impossible for him to be in a relationship with 1 million women. So I made a video about this years ago. I talked about it. I mentioned it in some recent videos from maybe a year ago or so. But nobody can answer this question. If free will does not exist, there's no such thing as free will, then out of those 1 million women, who gets in a relationship with Drake since they all want him? And I had somebody say, even this, I did an interview with this one lady, I forget her name, and even she said this answer, and I was just like, God bless your heart. She said, she was like, they all get him because he's in a relationship with them in a different reality out there. And my whole thing is this reality that we're in right now. I'm talking about this reality. If there's infinite realities out there, okay, cool, yeah, they get Drake in their own way. But I'm talking about this reality that we are living in right now, where we are on this live 3D on Earth. Who in 2025, this reality, who gets Aubrey?
In all honesty, I don't think nobody wants him right now.
Well, nah. Well, yeah, that's a different story. That's a whole.
I
That's
don't
a
think
whole
nobody
other
wants
story.
him right now, though.
That's a whole nother story.
Oh, because
You might be right
super
about that.
rough right now, so I don't know how true that is right now.
But that's the example I gave before all of this stuff went down. Is who take any celebrity, their favorite celebrity, where they have men or women fawning over them. Who gets the relationship? If there's no such thing as free will is real. These people in the community are delusional. They don't want to hear that because they think, oh, they're a mirror. They're mirroring my thoughts. They're just me pushed out. And they take these things literally all the time, not understanding that there's nuance. Like I really don't think they don't understand the nuance behind a lot of these sayings in the LOA community. You know what I mean? And any celebrity or anybody, you're one person. Like you said earlier, Sheila, they're not a puppet. You're not this puppet master, and they are their own person too. And so I don't know, but I agree with you. I'm not. When you said it a little while ago, I tell people all the time, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Go do it yourself. Go test it, and whatever happens, happens. I could 100% be wrong. And I have no problem saying I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like you said it perfectly earlier. Don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to Sheila. Do what works for you, and don't take the dogmatic approach of just, this is what this person said, and so I'm going to listen to them. And then you go month after month with no results because you're listening to this person, not realizing whatever they're saying isn't gonna necessarily work for you. So
And I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm not saying that it doesn't work because I've seen it
right,
in my like I've seen it happen in my life.
right,
I know
exactly.
that
You
it
do.
works. I've seen it, but
Right.
but to some degree, you gotta be mindful. You have to learn how to be the mindfulness of it because it's like if you don't understand that mindful aspect of it, you're gonna be walking around here thinking using your ego and not your higher self, and then it's not going to be fair. Yes, telepathy is real. Yes, consciousness is real. Yes, you can manifest your SP. Yes, you can do all these things. You're, you're a limitless being. However, be mindful.
Go jump off the one world trade building.
You had it exactly.
Go
Like
jump off
yes,
that and see what happens. See what happens if since time isn't real or this is a simulation. I dare any of you watching, go jump off the one world trade building and see what happens. No disrespect, but like I said, to a point, there is a point where you got to be like, yo, this reality is real. No matter how much of a simulation they say we live in, yes, that's true, but also it's this it's very real.
yeah. Like you got like it's very much real, but you gotta learn the balance aspect of it and flow through the and going back to the impermanence. Like I've seen telepathy work, and I've literally seen it work, like in my own with my own two eyes. I've seen a complete stranger parrot my affirmations to me that doesn't even know what my affirmations are. I'm like,
Right.
like, why are you in my brain? Like, I've seen people call me just from me thinking about them. Like, so yes, I know it works, but to get to this level of awareness of
You got to
knowing
do a lot of work.
to get to this level of awareness to that knowing to that ability to teleport myself into somebody else's brain like Scarlet Witch or Doctor Strange, that takes mental discipline.
It takes work, and people don't want to do. Think about this. You said earlier. Think about Jesus. What do you think Jesus was doing when he went to the wilderness for 40 days, 40 nights? You know what I'm saying? What do you think? Like Jesus was, he was doing the work. You know what I mean? Like Jesus was doing the work for all those people that out there that believe in Jesus and believe in that. Jesus didn't just wake. Jesus, yeah, he's the son of God or whatever the case may be. But Jesus also, when he was on earth, he was about his business. He did the work. And that's he was able to get to that point because he did the work. Yes, he was the you know son of God or whatever, but that didn't stop him from doing work. He fasted, he prayed, that's doing work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if he did the work, what makes you think you don't gotta do no fucking work? You know what I'm saying?
That part. How do I manifest? Tracy J asks, how do I manifest my SP if he has free will? I
You gonna answer that?
I will answer by saying
Yeah.
that you manifest him by focusing on you. That's how you manifest them. You focus on you. I think a lot of times us women, we want our SP so bad that we don't want to take that time out to focus on ourselves because we think that they're not going to come back. But guess what? That's actually far from the truth. Because when you actually take a step back and you focus on you, it actually makes you more attractive to a man versus you constantly blowing up their phone, versus you blowing up their phone, versus you doing all these things, versus you focusing on their attention on them. Like they naturally are going to focus on you when you focus on you because you become more attracted to them because now they're like, why the fuck is she not reaching out to me? I'm pretty sure Marvin, you can testify to that as a man.
Yeah.
That's the psychology of a man.
Yeah, but see, people don't want to. Again, in the LOA community, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that part.
You're not blocked. Change that. You're not blocked. And it's a good thing that you're blocked. Use that to your advantage. That's perfect. That means you can focus on you.
Yeah, it's mindset. It's people think that they're in a disadvantaged situation, not realizing that you're in a disadvantaged situation because you're telling yourself that. So once you change that story of, oh, I'm disadvantaged. This isn't working out to my advantage. And you start saying, no, this is working out to my advantage. Like Sheila just said, I'm not blocked. Nobody blocks me. Who blocks me? I'm me. You know what I'm saying? Shit happens.
Like when you become so grounded in who you are, and when you become so grounded in who you are and walk around like you're the main character, it has no choice but to reflect that back to you. Think about it like this: you're the main character, right, of your movie, and we all always watch the movies on TV, right? So I've done background work. So because I've done background work, I get to see the scenes, right, of TV shows being made. Y'all don't see the behind the scenes, right? When we're recording those movies, right? So if you don't see the behind the scenes of us, the long hours that we're on freaking set for, like
All day.
we're on set all freaking day long. Y'all, you don't see that. An hour show, right? An hour show is an all day process, and you don't see that behind the scenes. But now, if you are the main character of your show, your SP is in your show, you have no idea what character development is happening behind the scenes of that movie, because he's in his own scene, you're in your own scene over here, being character developed, but you know the ending of that movie or that TV show. But you have no idea. There are two separate scenes happening simultaneously. You have no idea of what's going on in that other scene. But because you're the main character, but you're also the script writer and the one writing the script and all of that, and the director, then you and your blocked, you have to get into this mentality like, okay, yeah, I'm blocked, but I can still manifest them, but I'm not actually blocked. Use it to your advantage because now you get to create the story. You get to create the story. And for all you know, the story that you're creating over here is more than likely happening on the other side, in the other scene, as he's being character developed. Because every character in every show, whether you're watching a movie, whether you're watching a TV show, doesn't matter. Each character has its own character development. And I think we forget that we all need to have that character development process. And if we don't, then it gets lost in the sauce. Our SPs have to go through that character development to realize, oh, I do want to be with her. If they don't go through that process of realizing that they do want to be with you, how the hell do you expect to get them? They got to go through that process too.
It's like you said earlier, you break down. They got to break down and be like, damn, I missed that person. Or
That literally, they have to go through that process. Like, if you, instead of seeing something as you assign a meaning, like a neutral meaning, oh, I'll still get what I want. This means I'm still getting what I want. Somehow, some way, I'm still getting what I want. When I feel like if any time I feel triggered, I always tell myself somehow, some way, I'm still getting what I want, and it creates a calm and collective way.
it's a blessing too. It's a blessing. It's a blessing for sure. Because I tell people all the time, a lot of you guys, it's actually a blessing you don't have your SP right now. Because if you did, a lot of you would fumble it, most likely. I've seen that too many times in working with people with SP relationships. They come back quickly and then they fumble them again. Because your consciousness is still not there to hold on to a solid relationship or a good relationship. It's like lottery winners. Why do you think lottery winners go broke within 5 years?
Hmm.
Either the first year, second year, third year, because yeah, they manifested a large lump sum of money, but their consciousness wasn't there to be able to keep that large lump sum of money. And that's what people don't think about. So it's actually a blessing for a lot of times when people don't have their specific person. And once you realize that, you do what Sheila's been saying is working on yourself. You realize, oh, this is actually working to my benefit. Everything works to my benefit. That's an affirmation. Everything works to my benefit. My SP blocking me works to my benefit. Or you can say that I remember when
Mm-hmm.
technique. Like, talk about that. Oh, I remember when I was blocked. I remember when I was blocked. Yeah, remember when you were blocked? Now you're not blocked no more. Yeah, I remember that. These things work. It's just a matter of what are you going to utilize and when to utilize it. So,
It's all tools. It's literally all tools. It's all to help you to. It's tools in the toolkit. Okay, that's literally all it is. It's tools in the toolkit. So whenever, yeah, and again, not even again, because I didn't never say this. You are not the technique. No, the technique is there, but you are the technique. Okay, you are the technique. It's not. Yes, the technique is there, but it's you manifesting. They're helpful tools for your toolkit to know when to use it and to know not to use it. And sometimes being still, or sometimes the movement is you being still and leaving your SP alone.
they don't want to hear that.
And most of y'all just really don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear it.
Because I can bet your bottom dollar, you don't even know if your SP is conforming or not. But more than likely, it probably is. You might not see it, but trust and believe in it. It's happening. But some of y'all don't want to hear that.
Nah, they want to hear the good stuff. They want to hear he's conforming. He's coming back in
Coming
24
back,
hours.
coming back in 3 days. Like he has to go through his series of events too. The scene, the character development. He has to go through that too. It's not just you. That's how it works. Like the blowing up. Like
And Neville talks about that too. Neville talks about everything has its gestation period, basically. It's funny because people take parts of what Neville said and they want to use it to fit their narratives. But Neville said, and I don't remember what book it is, but Neville said that a horse takes 12 months. A human baby takes 9 months. A hen's egg takes like 21 days or whatever it is to lay an egg or whatever the case might be. Like a chicken, like these things take, everything has its gestation period. And think about it, if a baby is born at 6 months, that's not good. That's not good at all if a baby's born prematurely. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes it can still come out healthy, but a lot of times when a baby's born, depending on how early the baby's born, that's not good. Just like it's not good when a baby is born super late. It's about balance. It's about homeostasis. You know what I mean? And so you always got to remember that everything has its gestation period. It's not just because your SP didn't come back in 3 days or a week doesn't mean that's not the gestation period for you. For somebody else, their gestation period might have been a week. But don't get mad at them or be like, oh, it's not working for me because I didn't get my SP in a week. No, your gestation period is different than said person, whoever that person is. And so again, remember that a horse takes a year to be born, or a year to be born. A baby takes 9 months to be born. You
it,
know,
it takes 5 years for bamboo to sprout.
there you go. That's it. Exactly. That's a great one. And for the first like 2-3 years, it only grows like what, like 2 inches or some crazy shit. Like five, like it doesn't even grow in the first year or so or whatever I heard.
It takes 5 years to sprout for bamboo. I think maybe it takes 5 years for bamboo to grow, or 2 to 3 years. I forgot. But and after that, once it sprouts, it grows like 2 inches like every 5 seconds.
Right, right. But for the first year,
It's
it
not
takes
growing.
it don't really grow at all, really.
Like it doesn't show. There's no evidence like of it showing like of it growing like at all. Like you don't see it. But it's like, oh, that's the kind of faith that y'all need to have is that bamboo faith.
That's a
Bamboo.
good point.
I need y'all to actually sit. Um, I never said that your SP was going to be like bamboo. No, but y'all need to have bamboo faith. Y'all, I didn't say it's going to take that long. No, you need to have bamboo faith, meaning no matter what you see and no matter what you don't see in the 3D, you literally need to have bamboo faith. There's um, if you don't watch it, go watch it. Go watch um Michael Todd's um sermon on bamboo faith. It's a whole series. Go watch that. That series. I every so often when I need a refresher, I will go watch it. If I watch any pastor, it's Pastor Michael Todd. Okay. If you ever hear me speak, it's sometimes a lot of the things that I say actually come from him. Like the skyscraper faith, like the skyscraper analogy, that came from his book Crazy Faith. It's only crazy until it happens.
It's true.
So these, if I watch anybody, yes, I watch him when I need a refresher, when I need a pick me up, because he has a whole series. He's just finishing up a series on distractions and being focused, or whatever the year is focused. That series changes perspective. Oh, changed my perspective on distractions. I can tell you that much. Do I listen to everything that is said? No, I take what resonates and leave what doesn't at the door. And that's where I think a lot of you forget is taking what resonates and leaving what doesn't. And using your intuition and discernment. Okay? That part. I think there needs to be a crash course on listening to your intuition and discernment.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have discernment. That's a fact. That's a fact. And you know what? We just talked about because discernment to me, having discernment is a big part in picking who you work with. And we just talked about a lot of people they pick they don't realize they pick SP partners, but people also pick SP coaches based on their trauma.
Oh.
And I didn't realize this until we were speaking to some lady. She was in, I forget what country she was in. She was overseas somewhere and close to Poland and Ukraine, somewhere over there. And we were FaceTiming and she said it was one of the biggest aha moments I've ever had in this industry. And she said she worked with subconscious lives. And she said she resonated with subconscious lives because she talked like her mother. She was very aggressive. She was very mean. And she said that's what resonated with her. And so that made me realize, oh shoot, a lot of people are picking SP coaches based on their trauma as well. It's not just you're not just picking a partner based on your trauma. You're picking an SP coach that you resonate with. So when you see when you see somebody like her or somebody like some of the other abrasive coaches, that's your trauma saying, "Oh, I resonate with that coach. I'm gonna pick her." And when she said that, I was like, "Damn," because I never thought of that.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest aha moments I ever had, and it clicked, and I was like, "Damn, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense."
Yeah, that's something I never really thought about until you just said it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When she said it,
The irony is that I really never. I've been blessed, but not actually having being coached.
right, right, right. Me neither.
I'm friends with a lot of coaches, though.
Right, right. Yeah, I've never gotten SP coaching either or anything like that, but
That's
I've watched a lot of videos on it, and I became good friends with a couple creators. But just, but I bring that up because of the discernment that you mentioned.
Yeah.
People don't have discernment when picking coaches. They just, oh, I'm gonna use. Oh, you got 200,000 followers. All right, I'm using you. And it's nah. Is it?
Yeah. Just because they have 200,000 followers doesn't mean that they have the skills necessary to help you get what you want.
And a lot of these people don't even coach.
They don't even care.
They don't even care. They just give you affirmations and say, here, repeat these, or they'll say, here, just live in the end of whatever this scene is. Like they don't really. When I work with people, when you work with people, I'm sure we really coach people, actually go through the nuanced details of their situation and really figure out what's going to work for them and what's not.
And I went to school. Okay, I went to school. That's dedication. I'm still in school. I'm not sitting like. Do you need a degree to coach? No, but I wanted to be different. Okay,
Right.
I wanted to be the different. I wanted to be different compared to like other people. I wanted to be like, you know what? I don't want to be like everybody else that's out here just copy and pasting, being a copy
Yeah.
and paste coach. I want to actually go back to school and I want to take this seriously. And that's what I did. And I'm I'm so happy and grateful that I did it because it gives me that it, it gives me that fresh perspective and a different perspective that most don't talk about, and it's helpful. It's not the I learned about psychosynthesis. I learned about all these different things that I would not have learned had I did not go back to school. So even though it took me about 10 times to try to go back to school, it's still that process. And in this school, it finally clicked. And when I realized the day of my graduation, my school's motto is I would have perished had I not persisted. So it's almost like the school actually found me and manifested me
Wow.
because out of all the mottos you could have I would have perished had I not persisted. And I didn't know that that's the school's motto.
Right.
And what was supposed to take me, I was supposed to actually graduate in 2025. I was supposed to graduate this year. I graduated in 3 years, which is actually the amount of time that I should have because I already finished 1 year. But I was taking 5 to 6 classes a semester while simultaneously taking grad level classes in my last year. So
Awesome.
I'm the queen of getting through shitty ass circumstances. I
That's awesome.
say, persist because you would perish had you not persisted.
It's a good motto.
Yeah. But on that note, can you share where everybody can find you?
Yeah, TikTok. I guess just I don't even know what my TikTok handle is.
Share where everybody can find you. I'm gonna definitely be posting this on the YouTube channel as a TikTok replay like I usually do when I do.
TikTok, I guess TikTok or YouTube. YouTube definitely Marvin's Room 30. So if you just type in Marvin's Room and then the number 30, you'll be able to find me on YouTube. I think my TikTok is Marvin's Room 30 as well. I don't remember. But I'm still getting used to I just started posting stuff on TikTok recently over the past maybe 6 months or so or whatever it might be, a year maybe. Like I never really cared or posted on TikTok like that. So I'm still warming up to the platform and this is my first live, so shout out to Sheila for my first live. But yeah, Marvin's Room 30, and yeah,
Definitely start going live more often and make use of the platform. You definitely want to make use of it because you're leaving money on the floor if you don't make use of these lives.
that's true. Yeah,
Because it's definitely going live is a very great way at growing your platform on here. It's
good to know.
a great way of growing your platform and meeting other people and building up your engagement and everything like that. It's amazing. So definitely make use of it, especially because you have access to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which I didn't know I did now because you said usually you're supposed to have 1,000, but apparently not for me.
Yeah, the fact that you have it at the amount of followers that you have on here, yeah, make use of it. You probably what it is you probably have engagement. That's probably why you have access to it right now, is because of the engagement you're probably getting on your videos.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow.
TikTok, if you have engagement and you do certain things on the app, it rewards you for certain things.
Oh, see, I don't know none of this.
I can that's definitely yes. I'm a
Yeah, I mean, you
therapist
built quite a
and I
following on here.
learn about stuff
Yeah.
and I teach I teach it. I learn about social media. Yes, I manifest, but I also learn about it.
Right. Yeah. Which to me is, I still think that that's manifesting. People don't look at it that way, but I still think that taking action part of learning, I still think that's part of the manifestation process. So,
Yeah.
but people don't want to do that because they think, no, I don't have to do that. That's not what LOA is. And I'm like,
No,
nah, you
you
got
just
it.
want to learn. The more knowledge you are, the better. But what are you got any closing remarks?
No, this has been fun. Thank you for the opportunity for my first live. Shout out to
Do
the
this
question.
again. We'll definitely do this again.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, all right. Bye, guys. Good night.
See y'all.